Hi everyone, welcome back to the Casual Watch Review channel. Hopefully I'm one of the first reviewers to get this out because it does launch today. This is the new Christopher Ward C1 Moonphase. This is an evolution of their extremely successful Moonglow watch. I'm very interested to know what you think in the comment section at the end of this. I hope that I've done the dial justice because it really is an amazing dial to see in person. I've tried to take lots of different angles and lots of macro shots to try and show it off. We're doing a hands-on review, so let's flip the camera around and dive straight in. Wow, look at this dial. It is spectacular. I'm sure I'm not going to do this justice on camera. I've took plenty of close-up shots, plenty of macro. I even had a go at taking a super macro shot, but I think the glistening stars on the dial might be throwing the super macro off. I'll let you decide. This is spectacular in person, honestly. On par with the feeling that I got with the Bel Canto. It's a watch that is less than $3,000 US. We'll talk about the price later on, but has the feeling of a watch more expensive than it actually is. And I think that's one of the secret powers of Christopher Ward, is they can produce these extremely high quality watches for affordable prices, although they have been creeping up over recent years, but still within an affordable range for a watch that has a complication like this. I am very impressed with this watch, but there's certainly a few things we do need to talk over. The standout feature, of course, is this spectacular dial. I'm sure there's some more words that I need to look up in a thesaurus other than spectacular. You'll probably hear me say that quite a few times because this dial really is the star of the show here. No pun intended. The dial is made from aventurine. I've never heard of this material before, but apparently it's a glass infused with reflective flakes of copper oxide. This resembles the starry night that we can see here. Christopher Ward say that because every part of aventurine is different, each watch is unique. I don't know how you would be able to tell two of these watches apart because there's obviously thousands of particles on here, so I'm sure technically every watch is different because the particles are in a different arrangement, but I doubt you'd be able to tell. And of course we've got two components here that are made of the aventurine. We have the main dial, and then if I tilt this ever so slightly, you can see that the Moonphase is on a separate disc behind. When we look at it straight on, it looks like they are the same dial, and that looks fantastic. But if you do move it slightly in the light, you can see that there is a separation, and it's probably deeper than you would think, probably 0.5 millimeter. You can certainly tell that the two are separated. It's not similar to a mystery dial watch where it looks like the two pieces of the dial are almost one. You can definitely tell at a slight angle here. The moon itself is made from something Christopher Ward are calling Globolight. This is a ceramic and Super-LumiNova mixed material. This might suggest moon is more 3D. It's flatter on the dial. The printing of the surface of the moon does give it a 3D appearance when you look at it. Apparently they've used 4 colors to get this real moon effect on here. When you see the lume shot, it really glows. We don't often see white lume on a watch, but this really glows. In fact, that's the only lume on the dial, so it's more of a party trick, I would say, than a useful way of telling the time in the dark, because certainly the hands aren't lumed. But wow, what a party trick that is. The case of the watch, as with most Christopher Wards that we've reviewed, finished to a very high standard. The case itself is 40.5 millimeters with a lug-to-lug of 47.9. Here you can see it spanning my 7.2 inch wrist perfectly. The thickness is only 13.3 millimeters. That may seem thick for a dress watch. What we're seeing here is Christopher Ward incorporating their caliber JJ04 movement. What this is a module that sits over the top of a Sellita SW200-1, and this JJ04 module is what gives the Moonphase complication. With it being a movement with an added module on top of it, I think 13.3 millimeters is a very reasonable size for that, and it wears very well. A lot of thought goes into the way that these watches wear. This is available on this gorgeous leather strap with an excellent deployant clasp. I would say this deployant clasp is on par with deployant clasp that I've seen come on Omega watches. You can also have it on the consort bracelet, and that was a beautiful bracelet that we saw on the Dragon Dragonfly GMT, the last Christopher Ward that I reviewed. Much more refined than the previous Christopher Ward bracelets that I'd seen. Their take on perhaps a Jubilee bracelet. I would suggest you probably got it on this leather strap and then added the consort bracelet afterwards, because I'm not sure if you can buy this leather strap separately, but I think it probably looks better on this leather strap, to be honest. But the consort bracelet would definitely be a great addition and would give the watch a completely different look. Adding to the visual appeal of this watch, we can see the sapphire case back. Then moving round, we can see the brush and polish elements on the case. If you're in the market for this type of watch, this is honestly spectacular, to use that word again. And if I show you how the Moonphase pops out, if I just move this to the second position, there we go. If I move it back, that's how you set the Moonphase. I have not had a lot of Moonphase watches in the collection. In fact, I haven't had any. Believe that to set the Moonphase, you need to look at a Moonphase chart. Nevertheless, fascinating complication, the Moonphase complication. The watch does wear very light on the wrist, only 67 grams. Overall, I think they've done an excellent job of this. Certainly not a watch to my personal taste. My eye just doesn't respond well to watches without indices. It takes me a couple of seconds for my brain to adjust to a watch that doesn't have indices. And I was also very confused when trying to set the time as well. I had to do it on the half hour, but that's obviously personal preference there. The watch is coming in at an absolutely fantastic price, I think, for the quality of the watch. $2,475 on a bracelet. On the leather strap, $2,325. These aren't the traditional Christopher Ward hands. These are certainly more refined sword style hands. There's no lume on these hands, but there is enough contrast in the light between the dial and the hands in daylight. I'm probably not capturing that too well here. As with all of these reviews, let me know what you think in the comments section down below. And if you want to give your opinion live, join us on the streams Tuesday and Sundays. As always, I really appreciate you watching, and I'll see you next time on Casual Watch Reviews.